lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast that prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello, welcome to the Werewolf by Night podcast. I'm Matt Howell.
I'm Jacob Balcom.
And you are joining us for our third episode, where we are going week by week and covering the journey of Jack Russell, Marvel's #1 lycanthrope, and his monthly adventures of wolfdom. Right, Jacob?
That's right. So this will be issue 4 of Marvel Spotlight, and next episode he'll be in his own title, Werewolf by Night #1.
So besides Spider-Man, who are other characters that you can think of that had a platform like this, a tryout, that so quickly were turned around into their own title?
Well, the one that comes to mind is who's going to show up in the next issue of Marvel Spotlight. Marvel Spotlight 5 is the first appearance of Ghost Rider. And he gets a couple issues in that, and then I think he jumps right into his own title, if I'm correct.
I think you're right. And that was who created him, like officially? Because there was a legal thing, right, in the last few years.
Yeah, there was a legal thing. I think, I think it was one of those where Friedrich. Yeah, I think Friedrich was the main one behind it, and Roy Thomas had something to do with it. And then, yeah, I know. I should know.
So what was the deal with that? Because, sorry, we're getting digressing really fast. I remember reading some stuff from him online saying, like, basically, like, I was under contract, technically Marvel owned whatever I did with them, but
yeah,
like they wouldn't give him any credit. I think he actually got like an injunction or whatever for like signing Ghost Rider prints at a Comic-Con.
I think
that's when he said like
that too. Yeah.
Okay, enough is enough.
Yeah.
I can't sign this character I made because I was working for hire, gun for hire for them. And so we need to revisit the terms of the contract because, 2 films, recurring character in a TV series, all that stuff. It's a little silly.
Yeah, it is a little silly.
Even if it's Nick Cage.
Even if it is. I should know more. I've always liked Ghost Rider in theory. I've never been like a huge reader of the actual issues. Like I love the look. I love the idea and the history of the character. But yeah, actually reading the issues, I don't know if I have read many of them.
I think I have a little bit because I had the Marvel Essentials, Marvel Horror 1 and 2, that's Son of Satan and Satana.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think he was kind of lumped in there. With a few kind of one-offs. Sense. And I like him when I read him, but a lot of that early stuff felt kind of shaky to me as far as like just, like we mentioned this on the first episode, like Marvel was into the fads. Yeah. So Evel Knievel was big, whatever. So it's like we got to get a cult and Evel Knievel together somehow. Yeah. So what do we do?
They did it.
At any rate, so you're saying that Ghost Rider started after this issue we're talking about today?
Yep. The next issue of Marvel Spotlight is the first appearance of Ghost Rider. Wow.
So they were cranking out some, or taking some big chances, I guess. Maybe not bona fide successes.
Yeah.
Although both of them had long, healthy runs.
Yeah, definitely. Characters. And reoccurring over each decade, they would have their appearances and comebacks. But yeah, can you think of any other characters that had a small debut and then got a big book afterwards? I'm struggling.
No. And I didn't realize Ghost Rider's run was so short in Marvel Spotlight. So
I think it is. Again, I'm just assuming we're going to be correcting ourselves a lot next episode with all this.
Well, that's what Instagram's for. I think I went out and corrected myself like within 30 minutes of us talking in the last episode. And Instagram, by the way, that's where you can find us, a Werewolf by Night podcast with underscores. And on Twitter, we're Werewolf Podcast.
I've really liked the stuff you've been posting on there.
Thank you.
Did you post the Skywald thing?
I did post a Skywald thing. That's the complete saga of the victims. Have you ever read that?
No, I haven't. It looks cool.
It is really weird. And it was a serialized story through a few issues. And the book's Skywald folded before the last installment came out. But it didn't matter because it was basically this gorgeous art just these two girls scantily kind of clad, like in Daisy Dukes and low cut, bikini top things, just being thrown into the most psychedelically bizarre, nightmarish scenarios, like Nazis and walking skeletons. Like, it was just insane. But it's gorgeous stuff. But it's hard to find now for cheap.
Yeah.
Fortunately, a lot of that Skywald stuff, like that one book just about Skywald. The
history.
Horror. Yeah. That one's typically $250, $400 on any gougey marketplace.
I know, it's ridiculous.
But you know what you can get affordably? Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
Especially if you like digital comics.
Yes, if you like digital comics, it's really affordable, because I got to say, I've been looking, and the essentials the black and white reprints of Werewolf by Night seem to be cheaper than the omnibus or the I think it's the complete collected. It's trade paperbacks, 3 volumes, and at least the first volume is really fucking expensive for no reason.
And those came out in the last several years, right?
Yeah, in the last 5 years, probably. I know, it's stupid.
One of my least favorite things about comics is that speculative bullshit that people do, where they just jump on stuff like that and just crank it up. And I always just relish, when somebody's like, we haven't talked about this on the show, but I'm a huge Clone Saga fan, like apologist, unashamed. But they were collecting those for, I think, 5 volumes, and volume like 3 or something went out of print. And it's just like, people were asking for $150 for it. It was like $40 cover price, $30. It's just like, you guys, come on. Everybody shits on this. Everybody says this is the worst thing that happened in the 1990s.
Yeah.
The worst thing, including, Oklahoma City bombing. Just why are you doing this to me? So I was so excited when they finally reissued those like 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And all those people's little dreams of soaking me dried up.
Their house of cards just, fell. I know. I just blame like the one rich asshole that decided to pay like $400 for something, and then it just set a bad precedent, and we've all been paying for it ever since.
I think you can still get the Werewolf by Night omnibus for the cover price of $125 here and there. But that's true. I'm with a lot of people that the omnibus editions are my least favorite way to engage with this stuff, just because they are so big and heavy. I really want to sit in bed with my, glasses on at night next to my wife and be reading a 15-pound book. I'm not Ned Flanders.
There's nothing sexier than that.
Ann Landers is an old biddy.
Yeah.
Okay, so Marvel Spotlight, number 4. We've got a great cover here. We still got Plug in the house, and there's this gorgeous cover of the werewolf busting into a cellar door as a woman is reeling back, and some strange beast that's chained to an experimental table is breaking free, and a thug. Wow, he's got a lot going on in here. And a thug is also firing an automatic weapon at him. He looks like a longshoreman who's a little disgruntled. So very busy cover, but very dynamic. And I wanted to mention real quick that this is one of 4 or 5 cover issues that is featured as a T-shirt that we talked about at the end of last episode. We're still looking for a sign-off. And I would love to hear your sign-off. If you want to send it to Twitter or Instagram, tell us what we should be saying at the end of the show to say goodbye to everybody. And if I pick yours, I will buy you your choice of one of the 4 or 5 Werewolf by Night T-shirts and have it sent to your house. And so Marvel Spotlight number 4 is one of those shirts. It's so good they made a shirt out of it.
So if no one takes you up on that offer, I'm just going to make some shit up just so I can force you to buy me a T-shirt.
Okay. Yeah. I did have a random start, right? I was kind of riffing on Irish stuff like may all your moons be full and all your pants be green and shredded and all your mansions be Malibu Gothic. I don't know. Somebody's got to do something better than that.
That's really close, though. I won't lie. That's pretty good. May all your mansions be Malibu Gothic.
So when last we left Jack, he had discovered that his father had I don't know how you say that word for spellbook, that Frenchy looking word. I've never known how to say it. Grimoire.
But how have you pronounced it? I've always said grimoire.
I would think it's grimoire. I've also heard grimoire, but I don't think that's right.
No, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, I think it's French.
Yeah.
This sounds like something, yeah. So he found out that his father had a book called The Darkhold. And some West Coast mages are trying to get their hands on it because it's this tome, this source of incredible potential power. So this is a MacGuffin kind of thing for quite a bit of these stories, is the Darkhold. So Jack's thinking, he ended the last issue thinking that might be a cure for his curse also. Okay, so Jacob, take us into the first page.
All right, so the first page, the title of the story is Island of the Damned. And again, we got Jerry Conway writing, Mike Ploog is the artist, Sam Rosen is the letterer, which we never mention. God bless letterers.
Yeah.
They get the short shrift every time.
He lettered the last issue, and John Costa did the first one. I meant to bring that up.
Yes.
Sorry.
And so this is another just amazing full-page spread by Ploog. And what we talked about last time, too, is that, you first look at a Ploog illustration and you're like, oh, that's so great. And then you look at it more and you realize, well, we have Jack in his human form, kind of screaming no in the middle. His werewolf form is above him, kind of silhouetted in black. And then on the right of him, kind of encircling him, is just this like a wave of disembodied faces in pain. And it's so cool. It's really hard to describe, but it was amazingly cool.
Yeah, the word that I think of when I see this is phantasmagoria. It's just like a bunch of phantasms. Like it's a lot like in the movie The Thing, when the beast gets torched when the alien gets torched like mid transformation, and it's expressing all of its earlier things it's copied and imitated. Like just mouths and eyes, and it's just grotesque and bizarre. No,
that's a great way of describing it, which it totally is. So Jack is saying, just a dream? Was it all just another dream? Why won't they stop? Why won't the memories leave me alone? But wait, that noise, that sound that woke me. Then I heard it again.
Right. And so what woke Jack is he's heard someone futzing around out on the patio outside of his mansion, his family house. And there's a shadowy figure with a fedora on and a big overcoat working around, looking like a Dick Tracy character. And Jack jumps out and surprises him and hits him in the back and grabs him. And it's a character that we're going to become very familiar with over the next several episodes or issues. This is Buck Cowan. And Buck Cowan is a writer. And he's got kind of an interesting reason for snooping around here. He says, "Don't you read the trades, kid? In Hollywood nowadays, a joker needs to catch bread any way he can. And me, I'm doing research. I'm doing a piece on the new interest in the occult, That's how come I found out about the Darkhold and your old man's castle." And Jack says, "Slow down, Cowan. My stepfather doesn't have any castle." And that's when he learns that there was a castle that his mom inherited from his birth father. So his stepfather Philip and his mom got a castle from Transylvania, and his stepdad inherited it because when the mom died, it went in trust to Philip until Jack was 18, which doesn't make any sense now that I'm saying this, because he is 18. That was where our story literally started.
Yeah, I know. But on the next page, he's talking about he's just finding out about this castle, and he's like, oh, and she made my stepfather the friendly trustee terrific. And Buck tells him that basically Philip sold the castle to someone named Blackgar, and he had it shipped stone by stone from Europe and set it on an island off the Monterey coast.
Yes.
Which, just kind of thinking about the logistics of that, like, how, I think it was Hearst, right, that did something like that.
Yes.
Like Hearst took castles brick by brick, but you would have to have Hearst money, number one.
Yeah.
And the logistics behind that are insane.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. I remember reading this 20 years ago and being so tickled with this. Because, again, there's that lovely cake and eat it too thing of wanting to have it in the Gothic Eastern European locations, but wanting to be in 1970s West Coast, California. So you have to literally transport a castle brick by brick. And, Blackgar, luckily, it's like an hour away from where Jack lives, this island that this guy owns. So coincidence figures largely in our lives, right? And fate.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's so great. And Buck goes on to kind of explain, talking about your real father's book of spells. So they're talking about the Darkhold. And Jack basically offers Buck a deal. He's just like, I got a deal to offer you, Cohen. You need a story, right? Well, maybe we can work something out to our mutual advantage. And then, they start whispering, coming up with a little plan. And this made me laugh out loud when we got down to the bottom. So their plan basically is for Buck to dress up like a longshoreman and have some kind of, I don't know. So I'm imagining he's speaking with some kind of terrible accent.
He has to.
He has to be, right?
There has to be a brogue or something.
Yeah, I think so. I'm assuming some kind of terrible brogue where suddenly he's like, howdy, Missy, is your father home, lass?
Yeah. It has to be.
He's like, and he's talking to Lissa, Jack's sister. He's like, yeah, I'm Clancy, lass, from the Mariner. And he goes and gives some, bullshit story to Philip saying, I got to move your boat. We do need your clearance for the harbor patrol, Mr. Russell. And so he's basically trying to get, Philip out to his boat, right? Is that the plan?
No, the plan is just to have Philip call the harbor master and say, my boat needs to be moved. So someone's coming down to move it.
Oh, that's right. Because then, Philip kind of puts a monkey wrench in the plan by being like, you're set, Clancy. But wait a minute while I get my coat. I think I'll come with you.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. And this, okay, there's a lot to unpack here. Yes, this is so good. Okay, first of all, this made me think of like Face on the A-Team or something. Or like, actually, my first thought was he's like Gene Parmesan on Arrested Development, was that Martin Mull? He could be anyone, anywhere. But no, he's actually, this reminded me, I'm not sure when the Rockford Files started, but this felt to me like that kind of tongue-in-cheek, gumshoe, like down on his luck kind of like Jim Rockford was really good at bluffing his way into an office to get into a records room to find out, to steal a folder, to get some evidence, whatever. It felt to me like that very kind of loosey-goosey, private eye, fun kind of Rockford thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so we're in 72 now. I mean, I think Rockford is close. I'm not sure if it had started yet. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it had. But it reminded me of that. And that whole spirit of, what was that Paul Newman Harper? Like that same kind of thing, right?
But I like your Gene Parmesan comparison, though.
So, yes, there's a great oh shit there where the whole plan is to just have Philip call and allow them to steal this boat so they can get out to Blackgar Island. And unfortunately, Philip said, I'll come along. I got nothing to do. So there's that wrench in the works. So Buck has a great way around this. He somehow fakes an injury on his shoulder from an old war wound. He said, acts up a bit, right? So Philip says, I'll take care of you. And so Jack says, I'll head down the harbor myself and I'll take care of this. So Buck took one for the team and he's hanging back and he has to sit there and pretend like he's wounded with Philip Russell smoking his pipe for God knows how long.
Yeah.
And so Jack gets down the harbor and he gets in the boat and he takes off. And again, this is so great that this place is just like an hour away from his house.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of thinking going on. One of the things he's worried about is that it's the moon cycle. So it's nighttime is approaching. So he's hoping he can get down there soon before he loses control. And he's also says he wants to find out what that woman, Andrea, now she's Andrea again.
I want to go back, but I really think that she was only Agatha for like 2 or 3 pages, because then by the end of that last issue, she becomes Andrea again.
Did she really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I thought she was introduced as Andrea and became Agatha the rest of the issue. And I thought here we were regressing to Andrea.
Maybe we are going back to Andrea now. But yeah, it's ridiculous and awesome.
So anyway, Jack's just thinking, I want to know why Andrea Agatha wanted this book, and I want to get out there and find it.
Yeah, next page. It's looking a little grim. A storm's a coming.
Well, the weather started getting rough.
Yeah, the weather did start getting rough. Yeah, it was So he's worried about this. He's trying to, he's saying there's only static on the radio. He looks like he's trying to fiddle with stuff, but he's a rich kid. I don't necessarily know if he knows what to do with what he calls a yacht, but was really just kind of a nicer boat. It's not super fancy.
Well, they mentioned it's made of teak. Well, the bulkhead's made of teak. Teak's expensive wood.
Yeah, it's expensive wood.
I think it is a nice yacht.
It's a nice smaller yacht.
Small. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not massive anyhow. But there's a big wave and it knocks Jack and knocks him out. He slams his head against the teak bulkhead. There it is. Yeah, it seems like he's waking up at the end there and hears someone talking off panel saying, well, lad, had a rough one, did ya? On your feet, boy.
We get to meet this guy that has boarded without permission, and he's wearing a wife beater and a stocking cap, and he's got that automatic weapon that we saw on the cover, and he looks strikingly like Grant from the first issue.
Yeah, I thought that too.
This is a classic Mike Plug thug, I guess. Kind of a primate face, low brow, pouches like that would give Liefeld a boner on his belt. So he's there to save Jack, ostensibly. Gets Jack in his little dinghy boat, and then he opens fire and scuttles this beautiful small yacht and says, "You won't be needing this where you're going," which is wow, tipping your hand there a little bit early, because he was kind of playing the dutiful, like, "Hey, I'm here to help."
Yeah, he was, and then he showed his hand pretty early on there.
Yeah. And I love this shot of the island. You get to see this character in silhouette looking down from this palazzo, essentially, up on the hillside of this lush island as Jack's boat. He was so close, by the way. He could have swam in, basically, from this drawing. But this character's bringing him in, and we get to see these docks, these outbuildings. This is a pretty elaborate compound out here on this island. And in the foreground, we see some of Jack's father's castle that's been perfectly rebuilt right out in the bay. And a large figure is looming over once Jack is on land and says, "I hope your journey wasn't too trying." And he says, "Well, your asshole servant here sank my dad's boat, but other than that."
And then, I guess next page we get to meet him. He says, "My name is Blackgar, my boy Miles Blackgar. This is my daughter Marlene." You get to see Marlene, who red hair, dark glasses. What would you, they kind of reminded me of the glasses that like Daredevil would wear. So would you call those like 60s or 70s blind person glasses?
Yes.
Like, is that, I mean, that's what I thought.
Very much so. Yes. Totally. Matt Murdock glasses.
Yeah. And so, he's in the middle of meeting these two. And then suddenly on the next panel, someone comes on, says, "Help me. Don't let him change me." And then it's this man coming out from the jungle behind this tree. And this is, I keep wanting to call him Grant.
I know. Garth.
Garth. And Garth comes from behind and says, "The doctor said, stop, pal. Maybe you didn't hear," and just smacks him in the back of the head, knocks him out. Miles explains that he runs an institution here, and sometimes there are problems. He's got to go see to his patients. Marlene's going to see to you. And so then Jack and Marlene head in, and she's not very forthcoming. He's asking her stuff. She says, "Please don't ask me any more questions. I don't have the answers."
And
even if you did. Yeah.
These are baseline questions like, so what is this place? What do you guys do here?
She's like, "Please don't ask me any more questions. I don't have the answers. And even if I did, I'm not quite sure you'd want to hear them." And then I like this line of Jack's. She's kind of like tending to a wound on his head. Says, "There, does that hurt?" And he says, "Only when I smile. I must have taken a real fall." That's him trying to be charming.
Yeah. Well,
and then he
can get away with a lot in a turtleneck.
He's got this really tight red turtleneck on. He says, "Now, not to push something, you're obviously uptight about, Marlene. Just what does happen on this island anyway?"
And I respect that.
Yeah.
He doesn't take no for an answer. I love the illustration on the first panel of this page of Miles Blackgar. He's got this grizzled old face, and the wind's kind of blowing his hair around, and there's some really deep set shadows, and he looks very ominous.
He does, and it kind of reminded his face there in another place in this issue, it reminded me a little bit of Wrightson.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Like it definitely had like that a little bit of an Anton Arcane.
Yep.
Kind of Swamp Thing look to it. Yeah.
And I love that they're not pulling any punches here with ominousness or foreshadowing, or I mean, like literally he gets to the island and meets the owner, Blackgar, and then a freak lurches out of the bushes and says, "Blackgar, you've done it to them, but not me." If I were Jack, I'd be a little concerned. And then his thug basically brains him with his fist from behind. And that thug is armed.
Yeah.
And we're told there's nothing to worry about, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
On the next page, Marlene is reticent to talk about her father, even though Jack pushes her, and she says, I can't betray him. And she's very upset. Jack explains that, because he understands because he had a father once 15 years ago. And actually, this was his castle even. And it was sold to your dad. And I'm actually here to find a book called The Darkhold. And that's when she freaks out and says, "No, Jack, not that. Father would kill you." So Jack is confused about what all the hullabaloo is about, because he's just getting his spidey sense tingling now. We've been upset for about 2 pages. Once the gun showed up, I think I was concerned.
Yeah, I was too. But you're right. He's finally not super calm. Just being like, wait, something might be up here.
So Jack says he can help her if she can help him. And she says, well, okay, there's a library above the operating room theater. And that's when the father busts in and says, "Marlene, it's time for you to help me with the operation." So we get to see what Miles Blackgar does out here.
Yeah, and again, I mean, the ominousness is just ratcheting up. And I like Jack's reaction to him saying that as like an operation doctor in a mental institution. Talks about how his methods are unorthodox. I'm sure you'll understand that in the morning. Yeah. And then even more creepy, he says, "In the meantime, you must be locked in for your own safety, of course." Yeah. Also super, super creepy. But that doesn't stop Jack. He opens the windows and does some kind of cool Spider-Man move to swing himself up to the next balcony where he can go in and kind of see what this operation theater and what they're doing is all about.
Yes, and I think that this page, the actions you just described, are, at least I hope they are, meant to evoke like Dracula, because it very much reminded me of Jonathan Harker's first night in Castle Dracula, when I think the Count locks him in the room, and I don't think he even explains why he's doing it, does he?
No, he does. He never even says "for your own safety."
Yeah, he just.
No, you're right.
I think Jonathan just hears a noise out there, and he's going to go check around and realizes he can't get out.
Yeah,
and that's when he realizes something is amiss, or a foul, or askew. But yeah, so Jack's on the hunt, and there is quite an operation going on down there.
Yeah, that final panel is. I mean, there seems to be. I mean, there's lots of Ray stuff. There's some early computers even going on, I think, that he's down there.
Yeah, cathode rays, crude computers. But all the old design of the house. They even brought the woodwork. It's great. On the next page, this first panel of Miles Blackgar with his operating goggles, his eye shields or whatever up on his forehead is gorgeous.
It is.
That's kind of Wrightson-y too.
It is. Like a few of those panels of Miles were very Anton Arcane to me.
Miles is hopeful. He's talking to his assistant and his daughter and saying, "I think I figured out the problem. I think we can have a successful operation this time around." And there's some strobing, flashing lights going on, and Jack's momentarily kind of blinded. And we get this great panel of this shadow thrown up against the castle walls of this freak the subject reacting and like rising up and moaning. Then Marlene looks up and sees Jack up there because she told him how to get there, basically. And so they kind of make eye contact. And then Jack looks around and he finds not only a bunch of books, but right there on the reading stand, The Darkhold. Its first physical appearance in this in the Marvel Universe. And so he is excited. He grabs it to look at it. Again, Agatha's called Andrea. The woman Andrea wanted this book so bad. And he tries to open it up, and then the change happens. And his hands are getting hairy. It's too late. He has turned into the beast.
I love that. I think it was last issue too. I love that when the change starts, it shows Jack looking at his hands. That's always really, really effective as like the first instant that something is happening. And then, by page 11, it shows him dropping the book and just Plug's transformation panels. We keep talking about them every episode, but they are masterful.
That's why we're doing it.
Yeah, it is. And I really hope that some listeners are following along, because this page especially is just, it's beyond description how great it is. So he's turning into becoming the werewolf. Then it goes to the great caption, First Night.
And there's some really nice Conway scripting here. Did Wolfman write Tomb of Dracula pretty much the whole run of the regular series?
Well, Conway wrote the first issue.
Just the first issue?
Just the first issue, yeah. But I think it's safe to say Wolfman did the majority of the series.
I guess, I love Colin's work and a lot of the plotting I like in Tomb of Dracula, but for me, there's so much narration in it, and a lot of it's so fussy and just heavy and just like eboned winged, like just all these weird turns of phrase where he's trying to sound old timey, and it just bothers me to where my second read through I just kind of skipped most of the narration, just focused, like pretend it was a modern comic, and like there is no narration boxes. I'm just reading the dialogue.
Yeah, agreed.
It read a lot better, by the way.
Yeah, it's clunky, but you're right. Conway's scripting, especially, and I know this is really early on in his career, but I'm going to say it again. I like his horror writing better than his superhero writing.
Yeah.
I think he must have really liked it. He really got into it. I know he's just 19 doing this, maybe 20 by now. And, but yeah, it's great. It really is. I'll read that first part. It says, "Too late, I saw the bloated milk white form of the moon beyond the skylight. Too late, I remembered the day and the hour. Too late, I turned to run, and before the book left my hands to strike the soft wood floor, I felt myself changing, becoming a werewolf."
Yeah, I just like that kind of repetitive structure of the too late, and just the prose is nice, the milk white moon form of the moon, and it's really solid writing. This stuff doesn't bug me, I guess was my point. Like in Tomb of Dracula, it can, but I think that I think Conway's got a softer hand than Wolfman did. And I know Wolfman was serving Dracula, which makes more sense, right? Because Dracula is a very pompous, high kind of character, right? Who thinks he's a superior to everyone else. So it kind of fits, but this is more earthy and more raw. So it's nice. There's the poetry of the moon with the earthy rawness of the beast. And he's married them well, I think. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, it's just great. And so it shows at the bottom panels there, Jack as the werewolf is just fucking that lab up. He's just destroying everything, taking those poor proto early computers, just mangling them beyond recognition. At the bottom, Conway writes, then I heard a distant sound, the thread of soft footsteps. Gradually, I remembered the sound of men, the sound of hatred.
That was a good temper tantrum.
Yeah, it was. It was really good.
And on the next page, there's a series of gorgeous, like not monochromatic, but those blues and purples that we talked about a bit in the first episode. That the coloring. One of the listeners of the show was saying that these pictures you're posting here, the coloring is amazing, and I think that's something we should probably talk about more. No one's credited, so I'm assuming when no one's credited, that's when the penciler left a note for right? Isn't that how it worked in the old days? Like they would just include a color like in the actual pencils, and that would be erased and someone would apply it. So that person was a technician, essentially. They weren't an artist. They weren't making decisions. They were fulfilling a note basically left by the penciler.
Yeah, I think that's the case a lot of times. And then other times they're just not credited.
Oh, really? Okay. So there might have been someone who was just doing colors and Plug wasn't worried about the colors. And
yeah, absolutely.
Editorial just figured no one cares.
Yeah, I'll do a little bit more research on Grand Comics database. Normally they know, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll say, a colorist and then a question mark after it.
The beast heard those footsteps, so he's following the sound, and there's a little bit more nice prose here. Slowly feeling the layers of matted hair rise at the nape of my neck, I left the shadowed operation room, followed a twisting corridor. The man scent grew stronger. I felt my lip lift, felt the vibration of a snarl in my chest. Very visceral. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So he's creeping down into the cellar, and Garth, the thug, is there and starts shooting at him. Garth is confused because Garth thinks that he's a result of one of Blackgar's operations. So he's saying, get back into the where you belong, which is essentially a pen or where these things are kept down in the bowels of the castle. And so this is a long-standing tradition already that people don't understand that he is a wolf man.
Nope.
And it's the old days, so he's not offended. Sir, yeah. I am a werewolf. Garth is chasing him along. There's a really great panel on the bottom left here. I'm trying to think who this artist made Garth look like. He looks like, it's not like Milk Knief, or I'm trying to think of who this artist is that he reminds me of. It doesn't matter, and he's got some great dialogue too. That's it, laddie. Back with your mates, unless you want a steel jacket in your grimy guts. Take it nice and slow, like. And so the wolf throws open these double doors because he's being chased there by Garth to get back where he belongs with the rest of them. Jacob, talk about this next page.
It's a great reveal. It's a almost a half page panel. And it's a dungeon of horrors. You have these are the discarded experiments of Miles Blackgar. And we kind of realize now it's like, I mean, it's not exactly a Dr. Moreau thing. He's not turning them and, turning them into half animals, but he's definitely doing some pretty creepy experiments on them. They're all very deformed. Some don't have mouths. There's a lot of moaning. Conway talks about their misshapen bodies. So this is a big reveal, and we realize now, why Garth thinks that Jack is one of these experiments that has just gotten out. Yeah, I guess Conway says in some of the narration, even the beast I'd become could sense their origin, could smell the stink of chemicals, both natural and foul.
Yeah.
Their mad eyes seemed to plead with me, and for one insane moment I felt myself in sympathy with their nature. And he says, growling, I stood aside and set them free. And so they are, all these monsters, these experimented on humans, are now free and have seen Garth and are ready to pounce on him. So they are moving towards him. He starts opening up with some rifle fire on him, saying, get back, you miserable scum. Get back afore I send the lot of you straight to Satan himself.
He must have an accent, too.
Yeah, it's like, is he have a bit of a brogue? He's talking like he has a bit of a brogue. Maybe he came over, too, on a boat.
Maybe he brought the stones.
Yeah, he brought the stones. Let's say he's an Irishman?
I think so.
Yeah, let's say he's an Irishman.
So Garth is starting to mow down all these beasts, misshapen poor freaks, really. These are things that are spooky and creepy and disturbing looking, but they're obviously things to be pitied. They are victims, but they are getting revenge on Garth. I think it's kind of filling in the blanks here that he mistreated them probably pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And so when they have an opportunity, they're all rushing him, and he's starting to mow them down with his gun. And Jack is incensed by this. Or I say Jack, but I mean the beast. And so he lunges at him and tackles him. Garth falls back on his back, and Judo kicks him backwards. I had to wonder at this point, is in the Marvel 616 universe, do you think Judo's mandatory, like in preschool, or like does everyone have to learn just Judo just to be a Marvel character?
Yeah, absolutely. But I also wonder, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking to, at least, when I was a little kid, I had some kind of collected of the Spectacular Spider-Man original run, which Conway wrote a lot of.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of judo kicks in that. I'm even thinking of the first issue with the tarantula.
That's going to say
there's a lot of.
Was that the first issue?
Yeah, it's the first issue, and that's on the cover. He's doing some kind of judo kick, and yeah, you're right. It is. It must be. It must be required at some point.
Yeah, I think that everyone can do it. I think it's a universal trait, literally. We kind of were talking a bit last episode about how there was some kind of Hulk thought from the beast that we didn't think was very effective, like, caveman, bizarro, whatever kind of talk. It feels like it's gotten a little more sophisticated in this one. And I feel like, I was wondering if you thought that was intentional, because I feel like this whole issue, there is, in the narrator's prose and in the beast's thought, there's a lot of talk about the two essences kind of not commingling, but accepting one another, or even becoming aware that the other exists in a sense. Does this make any sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I mean, I think I got that feel as well. And yeah, he's a little more with it, not so Bizarro like.
Yeah, thoughts. I feel like the first time we saw him turn, he was like a child coming kicking, screaming into the world in the hospital, and so he was just raw beast madness. And then the last time we saw him, which was 2 changes later, but we didn't get to see the second change, he was a little more hulkish, and he was kind of thoughts were gelling. He was kind of being able to think a little bit, but he was still just reacting to everything. And in this one, he's kind of a little more like he starts getting that regular trope of him, which is like he's inside, he wants to be out in the woods, he wants to get away.
Yeah,
which is a regular thing, which is a normal thing that a wolf would want. Trapped in this foul, dank smelling, cellar full of freaks that smell like chloroform and pain and urine. Anyway, I just want to mention that because here's a thought where after he gets the judo kick, he writes himself up and he's facing off with Garth, and he says, "Afraid, man is afraid of me, can taste fear sweet like odor of forest. Yes, he is my prey. He is the kill." Garth kicks him in the throat really hard. And then there's this really strange, this was also made me think about what we were just talking about. He says, my arms locked around his chest, tightened. It was then he began to realize what I'd known since the curse first overtook me. You're a werewolf, is what Garth screams out.
Yeah.
I had to read that like 3 times, and I don't know that I understand exactly what Conway was doing there.
It's that trope that happened in every issue so far. At the bottom there, Garth is saying, "You're not one of them. You're something else. Good Lord, you're a werewolf." So he thought that that Jack was actually one of those, misshapen beasts in the dungeon. But then he realizes he's not. Realizes he's a werewolf.
I was confused because he was saying his arms around his chest and he was squeezing him, and that's when Garth realized. So it was just because of his strength that he realized that he is more than human. He's not a operated upon freak. He's superhuman. Right. It just was a weird A then B thing. I wasn't quite getting it, but
no, you're right. It is a little weird.
But talking through it makes sense to me. Like that's when he's like crushing his ribs.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you're a beast. You're not a victim freak."
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to talk that through out loud.
Yeah, you're right. We needed to talk through it. Now we get it. But yeah, so on the next page, it's the big reveal. Garth realizes that Jack is actually a werewolf, and so Jack throws Garth off. Says, "No fight here. Too many walls. Too many men watching and staring. Must leave. Must find the forest. Yes, I must find the forest." Now, he hasn't bagged his first deer yet. That comes later, but.
Yep.
But yeah, he's definitely at that point where more and more each issue he is talking about the forest. He wants to go out there and hunt. And so he's trying to so he basically takes off, and Garth is left there with all of the failed experiment misshapen human beings that are surrounding him. And saying they move forward bolder now, sensing the fear that I'd sensed, knowing it was time for their revenge.
Garth's comeuppance.
Yeah, Garth's comeuppance. So the monster on the lower panel on the left side, does that look a little like Swamp Thing to you? He's colored green in mine. Is he colored green in yours?
Yeah,
because sometimes they're a little different, I've noticed. But yeah, that also kind of, there's a lot of rights and bits in this issue.
Yeah, I'd be curious to compare the coloring to the digital version and these original ones, because they're usually completely recolored, right?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
I mean, otherwise it would be a scan, which would never, unless you're Craig Yoe or whatever.
Yeah. No, I've noticed the colors a lot different in like Golden Age stuff. Well, I'll have an actual issue and I'll have the remastered reprint version. But so the colors are always a little different, but I think less so in Bronze Age.
Okay. Was there a standard that allowed for that? like we were talking earlier about, like, I don't know. You'll have to do some research and fill me in on processing in the Bronze Age comics, the coloring.
We'll talk about some coloring next episode for sure.
This is all 4 colors, right?
Yep.
Okay, so the Beast has left Garth to be hopefully torn to pieces by all the freaks. And he says, for a moment, I felt helpless. I wondered how I could leave that place of madness and perhaps find my way to the forest where I could run free and bay at the omnipresent moon. And I really like that idea that as the Beast, the moon is omnipresent because the only time that he's ever awake or alive in his mind is when the moon is out. So it is omnipresent to him. He doesn't exist without it. I thought that was kind of a cool little phrase.
That is a really cool thought.
And then the lights go out. So the Beast is groping around the dark trying to find his way. And he sees Marlene come and beckon to him with a candelabra. And she says, "Come, Jack, you've work to do, and that work must be done." And then she turns and walks off, expecting him to follow her. One thing I really liked here was that I caught us doing this before we even got to talk about it earlier this episode, is that we've started referring to the Beast as Jack and almost interchangeably with the Beast.
Yeah.
And I think that Marlene and her father referring to him that way also is intentional. That I think Conway is intending for that Jack is embracing this and realizing this is a reality and this is a part of me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with Miles and Marlene, I mean, you know, I think they might know about his condition too, being that they have the Darkhold. They know about, you know, his father.
Well, Miles doesn't know.
Yeah, no, you're right. Miles didn't know.
And so Marlene wouldn't know.
I guess you're right.
So I like that neither one is particularly surprised. Like they trade in the bizarre and the macabre and the occult. So
it doesn't shock them at all.
No. And that's just a part of who Jack is to them, even without them knowing him well.
Yeah. So on page 17, Marlene is leading Jack up the staircase. He's saying, "Why am I here? Why did I follow her? I want to be out. I want to run to find the moon." And then he's there. He turned. There, bending over a thick oaken desk, was Blackgar, saying that Garth must have let the generators fail again, that ignorant fool. So he lights a torch so his studies may continue uninterrupted. And that's when, I guess that's next page. Yeah, so the room is now illuminated. He's not turned yet, but yeah, as we see on page 18, Jack is behind him.
And there's a great panel here at the top with Blackgar holding a candle and pulling a pistol out of his coat. And there's some beautiful lighting on his face and shadow. And Jack the Beast is wondering, why do I hate this man? And why do I fear him so? Is he the one who killed that woman? No, that was another man, a man called Grant. And there's an editor's note explaining that the woman was Jack's mom, and this happened in Spotlight number 2. I thought that was a really oddly touching kind of thing, that like this trauma is associated with his birth as a werewolf, and everything that's pain or fear to him, he thinks is what the thing is that killed his mom. Like I just thought that was a weird, touching little thing there. I don't know.
You're right, but he did it last issue as well, where we had another editor's note, you know, reminding us when that happened.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just Stan trying to get people to pick up some books that are still sticking around on some spinner racks, but in my mind, it's Conway doing this nice kind of touch where it's like, you know, it's not Thomas Wayne or anything, but it's like there is this trauma that defines him, the curse being struck the same day that his mom's taken from him by this person, and that those kind of things are intertwined to him. And so he associates all negative things with not Garth. What was his name? Grant. Yeah. No, absolutely. And Philip, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe he's referring to Philip there, actually. Is he the one who killed that woman? Do you think he's talking about Philip who arranged the death of the woman, or Grant who actually cut the brakes? Maybe interchangeable. Maybe they're both.
Yeah.
He's not that focused.
No, I think they are interchangeable in his mind, as the Beast at least.
Miles Blackgar has heard this sound, and he spins around and says, "Garth, this time you've gone too far." And then he says, "What did you think I'd... Good Lord." Once he sees the Beast, he fires his weapon. And this is, like we were saying, he's not particularly surprised that Jack is a werewolf. So It appears our young guest has attributes he failed to mention. How cool is this fucking wizard, dude?
Yeah.
Mad scientist wizard.
He gets off a shot really quick, too.
Yes, he does. So he finds this to be an opportunity. This should prove most interesting. Perhaps in you I'll find the perfect subject, eh, lad? So the beast lunges at him. They start grappling in front of a huge picture window in silhouette.
Yeah, you can imagine. I want to imagine there being some lightning going as they're grappling. No, there probably isn't, but let's just imagine there is. So yeah, as we see them from the outside grappling in front of the window. On page 19, we go in and we see that that Miles is no slouch in the fighting department either. He's not doing some judo moves, but man, he gets a really good punch in. He says, "Surprised, are you? Thought I'd fall without a struggle, did you? Miles Blackgar is no weakling." So yeah, Jack is down. He's thinking he fights like a great black bear, and I weaker, growing weaker. So he smashes a chair on Jack, but Jack steps back, looks at him, jumps, and basically throws him out the window. More broken glass.
Yep.
So much broken glass every single issue.
And I love this last panel. Would you please talk about the Beast's thoughts as he's looking out the window at the aftermath of what he just did?
Yeah, so Jack, is staring through the broken glass, saying, "Now I know why I hated him. He hurt those others, chained them, beat them, changed them. No one should be chained."
That's great.
Yeah, it's a really awesome sentiment.
And then he hears some breathing, and he spins around and sees there's Marlene. And she holds her hand out and says, "Gently, Jack, gently. You've done what you needed. Now we must go, you and I." And she lets Jack know that she was going to be the next person that her father operated on, and that he was quite insane. And she wanted Jack to kill him. So that's okay. And something about the way she's speaking to Jack, it's kind of hypnotizing him. It calms him down. He feels lulled. She says, "Perhaps I can explain. See, father was mad, quite mad, ever since mother died. Something about the way she died destroyed him." And she touches his hand. And for an instant, he says, "I blinked at the cold, naked flesh trembling against my fingers." An oh shit.
Yeah, it's definitely an oh shit moment. But yeah, he kind of it says, "And then something in the way she stood, something strange in the way she held my gaze sent me berserk." And he's thinking, "Don't touch me," and basically smacks at her, knocking her glasses and the candelabra off. So she fell back, her glasses dropping from her face. She says, "Now you know, Jack, I would have spared you, I think, but you struck me, you betrayed me as he betrayed me." And he talks about how Miles, her father, wanted to save her. And then we realize this big panel takes up 3/4 of the bottom of the page, and it's just freaking gorgeous. She says, to save me from myself. Did I tell you how my mother died, Jack, in childbirth when she gave birth to a mutant freak?" And we see she has eyes that are just, glowing like fire. And we realize that her mutant freakness is basically she's a Gorgon.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see Jack is completely turned to stone. He says, "I tried to scream and I couldn't. Every muscle and nerve rebelled. And I sensed myself growing stiff, immobile, paralyzed by a murderous Gorgon's gaze."
Yeah, and I love that there's this garden of statues around these people in these, agonized kind of poses and attitudes. And you realize those aren't statues. Those are victims of Marlene. And she wanders away through the mist towards the moon.
Yeah, it's a great ending. And it's a great panel. It's a great last page. And I love how it ends is to be continued.
Yeah, I didn't know if the ellipses were warranted there, but
no, but that question mark, I would be disappointed if it wasn't in this issue. It's no fini, but it's still pretty great.
Yep.
No, it's an amazing end to the Spotlight run. Yeah, but funny. I wonder if the next story, which ends up being Werewolf by Night issue 1, probably would have just been Marvel Spotlight 5. And just would have finished the story, but obviously people really, really liked it. So they take that. So the end of this first arc is actually the first issue of Werewolf by Night, which is a little weird, but since it started out in Marvel Spotlight, it makes a little more sense.
Yes, and I spoke earlier about how frustrated I was when I spend all of my comics money one week on Werewolf by Night #1 and opened the first page and saw the next moment in this story that we'll be talking about next week.
Part 4 of the story in issue 1. Yeah, that would have been frustrating.
So we have Spotlight Mail, and it's not about Red Wolf. So we thought we'd be doing a letter a week. All of the letters here are about Werewolf by Night, so I just chose one. But I did want to read this editor's note here. It says, we interrupt this letters column for a special announcement. This issue of Marvel Spotlight is the last issue which will carry the adventures of the Werewolf by Night. Because next time around, Frantic One, Jack Russell and his hairy alter ego will have their own book. Success strikes suddenly at the House of Ideas, and even now Jerry and Mike are gearing up for Werewolf by Night #1 on sale in just a few months. Look for it. But the letter I chose to read is from Kenneth E. Moe, M-E-A-U-X, Moe, from Kaplan, Louisiana. Gentlemen, I had to write you and tell you about how much pleasure I derived from reading Werewolf by Night. It was great to witness the first big revision in the comics code, once again including supernatural creatures into comic books. Great! Please, please keep it up. The artwork was terrific. Whoever the artist was, he's definitely from the Will Eisner school, and he's great. Keep him in. Also enjoy the nostalgic inclusion of the old Charles Atlas ad. I remember it from the pages of comic books from the 1940s. All great. And the editor said back, one thing we can't figure out, Ken, were the kudos for us or Chuck Atlas? But I chose that one because the Eisner reference, the blue glove, just kind of, we were talking about Eisner quite a bit in the first issue or two.
Yeah, that guy nailed it.
These are all people gushing. Someone suggested in another letter that as for the art, I suppose it was Mike Ploog's first. As the start, it was pretty good. Please have him stay on it and give him an inker like Sid Shores or Bill Everett. Since it's still young, you might try various artists for experimentation. You might also try the Gene Colan Bill Everett team. Hint. So, vote of confidence, kind of, saying I think Ploog's got some major chops here, but wouldn't mind seeing Gene Colan and Bill Everett working on it.
Well, no one's going to mind Gene Colan and Bill Everett working together. Now, both of us are big Bill Everett fans. But, I mean, Everett was still doing a little bit. I think he had gotten sober by this point. He had done a run on the Submariner, on the character he created back in 39. And yeah, he was great. But he was, getting a little frail. He wasn't able to do the workload that he had done in the past. So I think he was starting to calm down a bit. And Gene Colan was going to be very busy doing Tomb of Dracula forever.
Right. The entire run, right?
Yeah, the entire run. He was going to start doing Howard the Duck. He was going to have a lot of stuff on his plate. And Ploog is no slouch. So yeah. I think he did fine. I don't think he needed to be replaced by anyone.
He was no slouch starting off, and this is just going to grow as it goes on. I feel like you were saying, I don't know if they ordered what became Werewolf by Night #1 and chose to be Spotlight #5 and chose to have it be a spinoff, but it came out 3 months later. And I feel like the art, just the first 2 or 3 pages, feels like it just ratcheted up, like Ploog just took roids or something. Like I love his stuff in the first few issues we've read. I think it just gets better.
Yeah, it absolutely does. He's just, he's so great. And I know I've said it before. I'm jealous that you have the letter columns in your bound edition. I always really liked. I mean, I loved letter columns as a kid. And the one that it's funny, the one that sticks in my brain most are the letters that the mothers wrote in after the end of Craven's Last Hunt. To where they were all writing in about Craven.
Sure, they were super thrilled.
Oh man, they were not happy because I mean that arc. I know you love it too, but that was an arc that I read when it came out, and that was intense. I was 11 or something like that, maybe 10, and it was it was really intense. But I remember being really, really entertained by how pissed off parents were by that.
Yeah, I feel like we talked about how I think I jumped onto Spider-Man proper with Stern's Hobgoblin saga. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I really realized comics could be sophisticated and mature with the first Punisher miniseries, and that's when I fell in love with Mike Zeck, which is a lifelong passionate love. But Craven's Last Hunt was the one where I realized that, again, I'm 11, so there's a lot of stuff I hadn't read yet. But like, this is what comics can be art. All of the Blake stuff in there, and is it Blake? The Fearful Symmetry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's when, the repeated quotes from Blake and the some of the imagery. It's a masterful piece of work, and the fact that it was a superhero comic was secondary to how powerful the storytelling was visually and narratively in text. It's one of my favorite stories still to this day. I think it aged really well.
I think so too. Yeah, I have one of the more recent collecteds of it, and I never get tired of it. No, the arcs that I remember from being around that age, like 10 or 11, that seemed adult were the Craven's Last Hunt, and then Mutant Massacre in X-Men, which was awesome, and I still love it and reread it every year. But yeah, I remember that being really brutal because a lot of people die in that. Yeah,
I was always drawn to the Scourge storyline as well. I never followed that around all the titles like they intended me to, but whenever I would just see one in the markdown box for, like when they would take the magic marker and cover the barcode on it and sell those, or tear the cover off and sell them for like 10 cents, I'd always buy those. And I always thought that was such a cool idea that this character was going around killing essentially surplus villains.
Yeah.
And that anyone could be, taken any time, even from the bar with no name.
Yeah. Hallowed ground.
Yes. It's a safe space. Well, that was great. And that was a great end to the Marvel Spotlight run.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And like I say, I can't thank you enough for having me join you on this journey. Because this is my first time through reading these, and I couldn't be happier.
Good. Well, I hope you folks out there are enjoying listening to us talk about this stuff. I appreciate everybody who's followed us. We got some followers coming on in Instagram, and lots of likes on the posts and stuff. So that's cool. Hope you're checking out the episodes. And again, we would really like some reviews on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you can leave reviews for the show if you can. That would be great. What else are we missing? Anything else important to talk about? We talked about the sign-off. Setting up that there will not be a sign-off this episode.
No, we're just going to clunkily end with some kind of fade out.
Yes, this is our stick.
I'm excited that, we'll be tackling issue 1 next week.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. Well, until we get a proper sign-off. Oh, I wanted to talk about. Did you watch any werewolf movies? You've been doing werewolf movies?
Yes, I watched The Howling 3. Marsupials, I think, is its second title.
So set in Australia?
Of course it is. So you and I, for your great podcast, That's Cool, That's Trash, you, your wife, our friend Joe, his wife Jolie, my wife Alicia, and myself, we all sat around your living room and watched The Howling 7.
Yes, pre-COVID.
Recorded a commentary on that for an episode of your podcast. And I wanted to kind of go back, and I had seen the first Howling many, many years ago and had not watched any of the sequels except The Howling 7, which was tragically terrible.
Ugh.
So I should have gone chronologically, but this one was on Prime. It was easy, so I just watched it, and it was hilarious. It's just werewolves in Australia who are marsupials and have pouches. And it's okay, so I thought the interesting thing about The Howling 3 was that the transformation of the werewolf is brought on by strobe lights in that one, which was I think I'm hoping that each werewolf movie I watch each week is going to be a different, really terrible way for the werewolf to be transformed.
But you do want to see good ones if you can, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I may. Even though I watched it within the last year, but I might watch. watch The Wolfman next week just to get some really good really good werewolf cinema in.
What about American Werewolf in London?
I should probably rewatch that again. I don't think I've seen that. I think I last saw that when I was maybe like 17 or 18. So I don't even remember a whole lot about it. And
oh, wow.
I hear it's amazing. So I need to rewatch that.
Yeah, we saw that at the Hollywood Theater with the star in attendance doing a Q&A afterwards. And I love that film. That's one of those ones that aged so well. It's always funny. The makeup is amazing. That's Landis, right? Great script. Yeah, that's a timeless classic.
So would you say that's your favorite werewolf film?
Ooh, probably, actually, yeah. I never really thought about it. Have you ever seen The Company of Wolves?
I don't think so.
From 1984. It's got David Warner in it. It was directed by Neil Jordan.
Oh, no.
And it's a weird kind of modernist, postmodern kind of take on some fairy tales and explaining how they're all werewolf stories, essentially, like Little Red Riding Hood. And so it's like these three tales kind of interwoven into one thing. So it's not like an anthology per se, but I highly recommend it. Very cool little movie that has some great practical effects in it.
Cool. I'll put that on the list as well.
The Company of Wolves. Highly recommend it. And it's got David Warner. He is one of my favorite character actors ever. Do you like David Warner?
I'm trying to think of what I know him from. Remind me of some of his roles.
In Twin Peaks, he was he came to town from Japan to get Josie back.
Oh, of course, yeah.
In Tron, he was Sark, the villain.
Yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely.
I love David Warner.
No, he
Time Bandits. Yeah, so he's in it. So I will watch anything David Warner is in. But it's a great movie. So check it out.
You just had to tell it to me on Twin Peaks, and then I got it.
I knew you'd know. Thomas Eckhardt.
Thomas Eckhardt, of course.
See, COVID brain. It took me like 30 seconds to remember to see, even though I've seen Twin Peaks probably 17 times all the way through.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right. So everybody, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. This is weekly. Again, we'd love to have your reviews or any feedback you want to give us or whatever. We're out there listening, but keep reading comics with us and make a sign off for us, please.
Yes, please help us with a sign off. It's embarrassing that we haven't come up with one on our own.
Come on, this is the third episode. T-shirts.